Welcome back to Expanding Slides. I'm your host Raju Mandi, and we're still with Paul, and we're still talking about the world being a stage. Now, Paul, you did share with me what kind of beast is satisfied inside of you when you act. No? Now, where do you want to take acting? How do you see yourself in the future? Where do you see yourself in the future with making handicrafts and being an actor? What is that one thing you want to achieve?
Again, I think this not being very proactive side of me comes out again. I tend to go where I'm led. Okay. I mean, when Mary-Lou calls me up from GMA 7 and says, how about doing...
Well, you're in GMA.
I say, oh, okay, and so I do it. But, you know, as we get older, frankly, we get less marketable on camera. I do a lot of voicing.
Not in my case.
Not in your case, but you're a handsome devil. You see, you've got a lot going for you. You've got hair.
That's because I dye my hair grey.
Good profile and nice teeth and all that stuff. Yeah. But I do a lot of voicing, and so that keeps that side of me going. But occasionally there are roles for me as when they require older people, and I'm happy with that. I also do play readings, as you know.
Yeah. And as I know, and as I participate.
Yes, absolutely. And play reading allows me to exercise without very much strain, just from reading among a group of people. And we take.
It's very satisfying. It's a lot of fun to you.
But as regards the future, for me as an actor, I suppose they say actors never die; they just fade away. Maybe that's the way it's going to be. I mean,
so do lovers. So do lovers.
And lovers and soldiers and a bunch of us. You know, you just gradually drift off into the sunset, and maybe there's a memorial for you at the end. But
an award waiting for you, an Oscar, Paul, okay, great. That's your future. You be proactive. Now, I know that something's been heavy on your heart for the longest time. And I don't even want to mention it. You tell me about it. What's been heavy on your heart for the last 10 years?
Well, it wasn't really for 10 years. Actually, this whole thing started about 4 or 5 years ago. I feel that I woke up. We all know that on September 11, 2001, there was an attack on the World Trade Center and on the Pentagon. And that a plane also crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And it was known as the attacks of 9/11. And as I watched, I was in France at the time, visiting our elder daughter.
I was playing pool in Makati.
And you were playing. Everybody remembers where they were at that time. I remember exactly.
The whole world remembers it.
And we had been on a wonderful tour around the south of France, and we arrived back at the house, and my son-in-law opened the door. And he said, Paul, you must come inside. The most terrible thing has happened.
Your son-in-law, your daughter's husband?
Yes, right.
He called you Paul?
Probably. Or bon père. He said, bon père, come inside.
Good father.
So we go upstairs, and I see both of the trade centers on fire. And then minutes after I arrive, one of them comes crashing down. 110 stories gone in about 10.5 seconds.
6,000 people dead.
3,000. But a lot of people. And then 45 minutes later, boom, 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 down goes the other one. Also in 10.5 seconds.
I thought it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
What many people still do not know is that a third building fell down that same day. Not GMA 7, World Trade Center 7. It's a 47-story building. Also came straight down into its footprint.
Well, how many stories were these two big buildings?
110.
And so nobody remembers the third little one.
It was never particularly brought to people's attention at the time. Well, there was a bit of footage. BBC showed it.
The iconic image was those two little.
Oh yes, and an incredible image too. And then later on, we heard about the Pentagon and all of this. At the time, I remember watching it. I said to myself, only Al Qaeda could have done this. Only Osama bin Laden. Since then, as I say, about 5 years later, I started to read up about a group called Scholars for 9/11 Truth. Since then, we have Scholars for 9/11 Truth, we have Architects for 9/11 Truth, we have Pilots for 9/11 Truth, Engineers for 9/11, Lawyers for 9/11. So many people are coming into this.
The people who still pain across the world, and the people who pain.
Well, victims. Also, wives and husbands. And why are they asking for 9/11 truth? Because the government story simply doesn't add up. Now, when I say to people, they say, you're a conspiracy theorist. You think that 9/11 was not conducted by 19 Arabs with box cutters. Yes, I do believe they were not done by 19 Arabs with box cutters. Well then, who did it? I say, hang on a minute. Let's not get into the motives yet. Let's look at the hard evidence.
Right.
Because that is what you do. We watch these TV programs every day now that about forensic science, how you look for tiny, tiny microscopic evidence in order to determine who was on, you know, who was there, who wasn't there, when they were there, how they did it. It is all about the physical, the forensic, the chemical evidence. Yeah. People don't want to look at that. We have been told that 19 Arabs did this. Let me tell you, their names do not appear on any of the passenger lists. The only way that we know that they were there is from 2 passports that incredibly fell to earth unharmed, one of them at the World Trade Center 1 and the other one in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Now just imagine a plane traveling at 450 miles an hour smashes straight, fully fueled, smashes straight into a building. It explodes. A passport that was perhaps in the jacket pocket or in the luggage somewhere explodes out of where it was, flies out through the plane, out of the building, and lands unharmed on the ground. Is that possible?
The passports did fly out, or they were just found?
I think they were. Well, they were found. Of course, nobody knows how they got there, but the presumption is that they came from the planes. What I think probably happened was that the passports were planted. Because they couldn't have got there any other way. In the case of the Shanksville thing, it's even more incredible. The plane dives apparently straight into the ground, nose first. The nose, of course, was where the terrorists supposedly were. The first part to hit the ground, and is buried in the ground, except for the passport, which flies out and lands very helpfully on the ground where it can be found. Without those passports, we wouldn't know who was on the plane.
So without naming names, Paul, what is it, what's the bottom line? What's bothering you?
Well,
what's bothering you?
What's bothering me is, okay, how do we determine the truth of the world? We select very narrowly what we look at. There's all kinds of things going on now in this room which you and I are paying no attention to at all. If we are forced only to pay attention to a small area, that is the reality that we have, and nothing else. If we are not allowed to look at evidence, if we are not allowed, for example, to examine...
So let me put it in a layman's language. So what's bothering you is that you feel you are being fooled.
I'm being fooled.
That drives you mad.
Well, I think that the evidence has been deliberately suppressed. I think we have been forced to look only in areas where it's safe for us to look without asking too many questions. Many people, actually more and more people, are asking for a reinvestigation of the 9/11 crime. I don't personally think it is likely that this will ever happen because the political implications are just too earth-shattering. But something is going on which the public needs to know about. And thanks to the internet, you can find out about it much more than you could have perhaps in the past. But if anybody gets on the internet and Googles 9/11 truth, engineers, as I say, architects, pilots, whomever, lawyers for 9/11, you will find a huge amount of hard evidence which completely contradicts and in fact refutes what the American government says.
What do you want? This sits heavy on you. It's obvious it's heavy on you. What do you want to do about it? What can you do about it?
I have
what measurable terms, what can you do about it? What will you do about it? And how will it change things for the next generation or the people who don't know about it?
Communication.
Let's come to that.
Communication is what we have in common. You cannot communicate. You can't communicate with somebody, for example, in a different language, as we just saw.
You can't communicate with a Dutch person or a French person.
Unless you speak a common language. You've got to have some sort of common language. That's the first thing.
Right.
And so you try to reel people in. You try to find some commonality, some agreement.
Correct. You find common ground.
What I do with people, I say to them, for example, look at a video of World Trade Center 7 falling down and ask yourself, how could that be an accident? Must it not be a controlled demolition? The building classically, it crimps in the middle and then it just falls straight down very, very evenly at about free fall speed. According to the government theory, the National Institute of Science and Technology says that all of the main supports gave way at exactly the same time, and this caused the whole building to fall. How can that happen except with the controlled demolition? The only way you can bring down a tall building, a steel frame building, is with controlled demolition. If you don't do it like that, it's going to keel over to one side and cause huge damage. So I say to people, that's really the smoking gun. You look at that and just look at the evidence and just forget about what you believed before, but allow your own trust in your own senses to tell you the truth about
your intuition.
Not even intuition.
Not just intelligence and intuition put together.
Yes, I believe in common sense. I believe in people's common sense. I think too many times we're being told to believe in the talking head on the television set. And instead we have to rely a lot on ourselves, which is what we do all the time anyway.
What can the guy on the street do now, Paul?
Not a whole lot, but he can vote.
What do you want to end this with? How do you want to wrap this up?
Well,
question
look,
to you.
This is.
I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about the thing that sits heavy on your head. What do you want?
Well, it's obviously it's going to keep on going in my mind.
When will you come to peace with it? And what will bring you to peace with it?
Frankly, if my friends were to see the world as I see it, that would go a long way towards resolving this. I do accept that people have professional reasons for not believing it, but what irritates me almost more than anything else is when what I consider to be liberal, well-educated people who have a vested interest in the status quo cannot lift their eyes from the page and look at evidence.
You want people to see the truth, and that'll give you peace.
They'll give you peace,
hear the truth,
but as I say,
accept it.
I would like more people to accept this. As for the man in the street, I think it is much easier actually to talk to people who do not have a vested interest in the system and who are therefore have a more open mind than it is to talk to people who would feel severely shaken were they to believe that the American government, for example, or some other foreign agency was involved in that, which is deeply disturbing.
All right, Paul, thanks for these sharings. These are wonderful sharings. You've talked about business, you've talked about acting, and you've talked about something that's sat heavy on your heart for so many years, and I hope this helps you. Now, what I want to hear from you as an Englishman in the Philippines, what do you love about this country? What would you tell people who are coming into this country, Englishmen, Frenchmen, Dutch, and the people who don't understand English? What would you like to tell them? I mean,
well, I have no plan, and haven't for a very long time, of going back to settle in Britain. Britain is a wonderful country. It has been a wonderful world leader. But I have, for one reason or another, severed my connections with Britain. Not entirely, however. I am a warden for the British Embassy. That doesn't mean I'm any kind of a policeman, but rather that I keep in touch with the other British citizens who are from nearby. So I do that, and I like to act as a sort of an in-between person between British culture and Philippine culture.
Okay, the world's the stage.
And I love the Philippines. I love the freedom that I have here. I love the climate. That was one of my main reasons for leaving Britain, because it's so cold.
It's never warm.
It's very, very seldom warm. I believe it's getting warmer now, but that's another story. And I want to see more of the country. I want to travel more. There's many parts of the country that I've not seen, and the parts that I have seen, I'm always in awe of the beauty and of course of the friendliness of the people.
It's been great having you on Expat Insight. If you want to say bye to your family and your loved ones, this is your moment. I'm Rajumandian. This is our guest Paul Holmes, and he's going to say adios in English.
Well, bye-bye to all of you, and good luck with your lives. Thanks very much.
Good evening and salamat po, and let's catch you on Expat Insights next Sunday. Good evening. Salamat po.